Gooner fam, what's good? I got Raoul in the house all the way from Durban for our last Premier League match of the season, the finale against Watford. 3-2 winners. Was a bit nervy ending there, but yeah, how you felt about the game, the lineup going into the first half?
First things first, I'm actually glad the season's over. Not going to be Mr. Negative, but I feel it's time, at least we can look back now in hindsight and say, hey, listen, this is what we actually really need. Going forward into the actual game, I must say, I think Pepe had a good game. Seb's had a good game. Oba had probably one of the best games. That's more reason for us to actually keep him, because the second goal, that was out of nothing. And Oba's not actually good at holding up the ball or hold it with his holding play. He doesn't have the attributes of strength in his game. But if you look carefully, that was all finesse. That is a goal scorer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it was just
what did you think about it?
Yeah, no, well, firstly, like I remember back in the days we used to talk about Arsenal, how bad it was, but this has probably been the worst year, I think, as an Arsenal fan we've ever felt. As much as we've scraped top 4 in the previous years, but this year, and like as you mentioned, I don't want to touch on it because it's too depressing, but as you said, it's tough, and I think it's better it's over now. And as you said, it's great to see what we need. We're in a rebuilding phase. I think previous managers or Wenger covered that well. So he used to cover the gaps quite well and be able to get us out of the shaky parts. And I think now we're exposed and we know. In terms of the game, man, you're right. Aubameyang had a great game. I think that second goal was amazing. You know, I was happy for the back four. I don't know if you were happy to see that the creative play wasn't the best, but you could see why he doesn't use a back four in terms of how exposed we get, you know?
Yes, 100%. You can, personally, I feel with David Luiz, he's brilliant as a back three, but when he comes into play in the back four, I don't know, it's either a communication problem, because you find out when David is in the back three, he's the pivotal. So he knows he's always going to be the last one running. He's like the sweeper, technically.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a strong part of his game, because when he collects the ball, he also has the ability to spray the ball to the forwards, etc. So I think back three suits him. But when you have a back four, it's more shadowing, and David Luiz always gets caught.
A lot of pressure on him in those
I was very surprised that we actually don't have him again for the next season. I saw a stat that he actually broke a record for this in the Premier League.
Breaking terrible.
He has awarded the most. Yes, I know, awarded the most penalties. I think it's 4 or 5 penalties for the season.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird, because when he played City and he played Liverpool, he was a standout defender. He was world class. Yeah.
And all those.
So maybe we just preparing, because I think Rob Holding was also he played well.
Yeah.
We had some shaky errors, but you can see his game is growing. So bringing
and he
this
looks
new,
better in the back four. I feel Rob Holding looks better in the back four. He doesn't look as comfortable in the back three, but a back four with a better midfield and a creative player, I think we could do some stuff. Maybe Luiz just gets exposed too much. As you said, you know, it's easy to pass with 2 people on either side. But when you're back four, you kind of taking a lot of space on the field. You don't have that much time to release the ball. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know. Arteta has a lot to think about with that combination.
But you know, Keishan, that's what we need to look at as well. And we're talking about this building phase, but technically, our best left back left us last season or the season before. That was Monreal. I used to like him because he was consistent. But we brought in Turney, and I feel Turney is just as consistent. You see, he got his goal, but more importantly, he looking very strong in that back. And I know Arteta, I think Ainsley as well is playing a very, very strong game defensively. And he pairs up better with Pepe than Bellerin actually pairs up with Pepe. So that's also interesting. So I think maybe our back four solutions next season might actually change, because we're bringing in that new defender, Saliba.
Mm.
So we're going to have Saliba, Rob Holding, David Luiz, and then we still got our left and right, which is left will be Kohler and Teddy, right will be Bellerin and Ainsley.
Yeah.
And must remember, we can still gap in with Saka on both sides. So I think just once the team starts playing well with them, I feel going forward our back four will be good.
Mm.
My biggest concern is our midfield.
Yeah.
Creativity. You can't. It's either the player has a creative mind or he doesn't have the creative mind, and that's a big concern because our creative mind is actually Ceballos, which is someone who was on loan. So there's still disputes of either we're going to have him on loan next season again, or if not, you pay big money to get players who know how to create space and have those through balls, those key passes, which counts. I mean, we got one of the best striking force. You're looking at, we had with Pepe. Pepe was a young prospect. You can see his ability on the ball. We got Uber, proven striker in all his leagues, Laka as well. So we just need that creative midfield. I feel we will push top four. Maybe it's a blessing that we're not going to have Champions League. Maybe it's a wake-up call. But because, you know what, every time, especially under Arsene Wenger's reign, I felt that just because the whole talk or concept of us having, we won a trophy because we came in top four. Top four was considered a trophy because you're in Champions League. That mindset probably is starting instilling in the club, in the players. We just needed, the players are just doing what needs to be done, not to achieve the greatness that we expect from them. So a lot is going to change. You look at Arteta. Arteta is talking about culture. He's talking about mindset in our players. He's probably the best coach to go forward with Arsenal
100%.
because he knows what is expected. There was I read up an article where it seemed like he just called out Stan Kroenke about injection of money. It's time for we're going to carry on being mediocre. We're going to expect these mediocre finishes.
No, definitely.
This season was a write-off. I felt technically we would have been in a stronger position if we don't have that break during the course of the lockdown, etc.
Yeah, the COVID break.
But yes, because we were actually running in good form. I think when we played City, just coming out of lockdown, we actually had a better running form than they had. Yeah, with winning games and so on. So I personally do feel that the season's not a good result. But I am being optimist. I do feel we are going the correct direction. And that's everything. Because when you're looking at teams, we play in the top six. We actually took points off the top six. Previous seasons where we used to say finish off fourth, we were taking on the smaller teams, and when it came to the top six, the top four, we were either getting draws or losses. We weren't getting the wins. You can't tell me for a team that finished ninth, beat United, beat Liverpool, beat City. We drew against Spurs. I think the Spurs game we should have actually beaten them. In the first leg. But it's a team that clearly somehow can also fight to get those wins. So hopefully we do keep Uber next season. I'll be very, very disgruntled if Uber does leave because I feel the whole time it's been an Arsenal way where we got the best keeper or we got the best defenders, but we'll be lacking the best midfielders or we're lacking the best strikers because at one stage we had Snowgo. If you remember him, he used to be one of our key strikers. He's not even playing second division now. We used to have a problem with our midfield. Then we got Ozil, but then Snowgo was the striker, or we had, I think, Danny Welbeck on injuries. When we had a defense, we had a very good defense that's when Socrates was still in form. I mean, at one stage, we even had Per Mertesacker coming back-to-back of a World Cup win. We had he was a bit slow, but he had the experience that we needed in our defense. But there's never been a case where we got all the right guys at the right time. And if you look at it, technically, this is probably the closest we're going to get because when it comes to our midfield, that's the only aspect I personally believe we need to work in now.
Yeah.
Our second choice. Do you remember our second choice keepers when we had Amunia as our first choice?
Yeah.
Amunia used to be our first choice. Then you said Fabianski and Victor Manoli. And that was before they actually started breaking into the first team, before they actually started moving into other Premier League. So, I mean, look now, we got Leno and we got Emi Martinez. And you can't tell me our second choice goalkeeper is actually second choice, because he has been putting such good performances. I feel personally it's going to be a good fight between him and Leno. That's what we want to see. There's articles where you read that Martinez is actually going to break into the first team for Argentina. So, I mean, the players are there now.
And he took it with both hands, you could say, you know. Today he saved us in today's game. He saved us. That backheel pass from Welbeck, like, look, I respect Welbeck, like I can't hate on him. He didn't celebrate, so you know, it's fine. But he was there and he made and like at times I was like, it's Welbeck. But there were times I was like, shit. And Martinez saved us. And I think what you also referring to quite a big thing is, remember at the beginning of the season, we were all angry, or we saw a bit of something, and then we lost kind of our identity, our way of playing football.
Yes.
And I think Arteta,
100%.
He's bringing that back. And I think it's these small things that you mentioned, playing for the badge, playing with pride, playing with heart, you know what I mean? Actually making sure every game you're going out there and giving. It's these small things that he's instilling in these guys. I think he's in a different time, like as you said, now you have to buy your quality. You can't develop it because you don't have the time, or you don't have the kind of, like, you must go and scout, and it's hard to do it. And I think Arteta has a bit of both, but he needs money. But you can see what he did with some of the players. You can see, like, let's say, for example, Xhaka. It's a complete turnaround in the past few months. And he's not the greatest, but he's more solid in our midfield than most. And we wouldn't have said that 6 months ago. So I think the progression.
I'll go out on a limb and tell you, Granit has actually played better under Arteta than he has played under Emery and Arsene Wenger. Yeah. I personally believe.
And I feel that's what Wenger saw in him. And Arteta is just utilizing, he found what he needs from him. And you see, he doesn't allow Xhaka to get under pressure. He knows that's where his weakness is. And I won't lie, his first touches improved a hell of a lot. Like, his first touches were bad in the beginning of the season. But I think it's also that pair, before he used to pair well with Torreira, but I don't know what's gone wrong with Torreira, but that Ceballos pair where he's allowed to just play a bit more freely, don't have to be as decisive, but Ceballos is the runner. He's your box-to-box guy. But yeah, it's that progress we wanted to see. And you can see it by Tierney, you can see it by Martinez, and I think we definitely going in the right direction. And as you said, you're 100%.
100%.
Our midfield is...
Arteta is bringing in Willock. He's bringing in Reece Nelson as well. I mean, Saka had his breakthrough season as well. He is definitely first-team quality under Arteta, playing for Arsenal. There has been a lot more that Arteta has given, and we can't take... I feel that we talk about the squad that Arteta has, but we also have to give some kind of mention to Emery, because Emery was actually giving these guys a good chance. He was playing Smith Rose. So, I mean, like, fair enough. I think what the fans see and what the managers and coaches know is two different things. The fact that when they have like these limited sources, and we play Arsenal, as much as a big club, we don't have the sources, the resources like the Uniteds, the Cities, even Liverpool to a certain extent, what they have now. So that's why we probably are pushing more of our youth development. Probably does come at the best time, because what happens if we actually had to get top four? Do you think they will still be sitting in the first team squad, or we will bring two extra players to cover up? Yeah, so there's a lot more that we need to consider as well. So personally, like, I think the last game actually summons the whole Arsenal season to a certain extent, because we started off strong. When it came through right at the end of midway, we got shaky again. Our defense started shaking. And the truth is, and as an Arsenal fan, the guy that has actually taken us to the wins, has gotten the wins, was Aubameyang. We had the decisive goals, and that's how it sums up our season at the moment. We had a striker that was decisive, and our defense let us down.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You know, and we hold at least we held on to the win. You know, finishing 8th position is a bit more prideful than 10th, I would say. You know, but it goes back to, as you said, like those results from the top 6. You know, we played like Leicester, Tottenham, Liverpool, City. You know, in a row, and we comfortably could have beaten all 4 of them. I felt Leicester we could have comfortably beaten.
Yes, I mean the Leicester game was sad. We should have won that game. Definitely.
And the Tottenham game we should have won as well. And then obviously Liverpool.
Yes, and the first leg even, but the penalties. And even like when you just look at like the team that I felt that would have actually given us a bit of a push was Wolves, and yet we beat Wolves comfortably. So it's very hard to understand how this Arsenal team is, where they are with their mindsets. But I am looking forward for next season, because I think once you finish 8th, there's only one position. There's only one where we're going now. It has to be up. There's no ways. Imagine getting back-to-back lower than 6.
Hey, when you're talking about top 4, I'm like, all I know is top 4. Like, this is uncharted territory for me. You know what I mean? But the thing is,
very true. Everton. This is what Everton.
Yeah, and
Tottenham Liverpool used to be.
Tottenham used to go.
Tottenham used to be. That's Tottenham's regular spot 6 to 8, bro. Yeah, fighting for just your Europe Cup and FA Cups. Yeah, but it's not what we should resort to.
Yeah, no, especially in the type of team we are and what we built. I don't think it's. But you know what? It's, as you said, like we have to be positive. You know, as you said, it's progression. We're gonna move on. Next season, it has to be 7th or 6th, or actually 5th, up there. But we want top 4. But we need to move
next
up.
Season, we're gonna have a lot of time on our hands, Keishan.
Hey,
we are all gonna be challenging top 4.
I don't know. Europa is it's tiring.
Yeah, I understand it. But you know what?
But I'll take it. I'm not saying I won't take it, but
yeah.
You know.
There's still exposure for.
No, carry on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that even though I feel enough, Champions League is what you always want to be watching on your Tuesdays and Wednesdays instead of watching Europa on a Thursday. But definitely, Europa still gives the experience to the younger guys, the Sakas and the Tierney's and so on. Even though Tierney has actually played Champions League for Celtic, but yeah.
Yeah, but it allows us.
So what you're saying, Kishan?
Yeah, no, just to comment on what you said, it does allow us to see how our squad can play in different areas, and I think that's what Emirates did well. We mixed it up quite well throughout the tournament, and you got to see like Willock plays well here, Saka so phenomenal, Martinelli. But I wanted to touch on today's game with the creativity. We didn't see much, but did you notice that Maitland-Niles has? I think he has that ability to pick a ball behind the defense, and you could see he was trying more so, but it's hard to do when you're cutting in. But how are you feeling about his performance and how Niles has just taken to the role? Look, he was good, but there was a bit of talk. But now he's just come back a bit stronger, I feel, as well.
Yeah, so like I was following the Maitland-Niles story because at one stage when he was playing for Emery and the performance weren't good enough, he barked on saying that, you know what, the manager's not pushing me I don't want to be playing here. I don't know if you remember that. You're saying I do not play on the right back. I play more in the midfield. And that was the wrong attitude because the whole thing was if you're playing for the team, your manager will decide where you want to play because it's what's best for the team. Yes. I feel probably Arteta has given him a lot more confidence. Arteta, one of his first interviews, he said everyone has a clean slate. And that's how Granit also got back into the team as well after his performance with the fans and not wanting to apologize. But I find it very, not to go sidetrack, but I find it very interesting that the way Granite has, the way the approach Arteta had over Granite, it's not the same approach Arteta's having of Guendouzi. So I feel there's actually probably more politics behind that, which is going we're going to see, which is going to develop, because now when you read all these articles, you find out Guendouzi is going to be a swap deal with someone else. You know, it looks like we're trying to ship Guendouzi, and if you look at it, it's probably because he has the highest value, potential value of a player. Because normally when it comes to actual transfers, the two main things that need to be considered, and I'll use the example of Ozil. Ozil is still marketable, but there's no way Ozil's going to take a decrease in his wages. So there's only a certain few clubs can actually pay Ozil's fee. So you find out, even if we had to sell him for 5 or 10 million, it's still the wages that which are going to accumulate, which will cost them like close to 40, 50 million. And when you look at Guendouzi is not really a top earner. He's probably on that 60,000 pounds per week. So there'll be a lot more high value from the club can actually get for the sale of Guendouzi. So that's going to be quite interesting. Yes, and just to go back on the creativity. So I personally believe that is going to be that's our biggest problem. Most creative players are the player that was loaned out. It will be interesting to see if Ainsley actually goes back into the midfield. I don't know if there's going to even be like a preseason. I don't know how's it going to go before we actually go back into the next season. But I feel there is some opportunity for Ainsley. But when you look at just the importance of the position, it's more important to have our right back, to have a solid defense, on comparison to have Sebs in our midfield, because technically we can still have creative or border creative players, but we still need stronger. The way Arteta sets his teams, you will prefer having Ainsley on the right back for now, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is something that he needs to work on. And I think if we solve that issue, we have a lot more versatility with our tactics, I feel, and formations we can use. We can go 4, we can go 3, we can go 5, we can do whatever we want, as long as we can find somebody that can pick that ball through. And I think that's a service these 3 guys need next season. And yeah, but back to the game, last question on the game, and then I have a few more on just general. But who's your man of the match, if there is one?
I think Martinez would have a good shout out over there. Personally, I'll still give it to Aubameyang. I think Aubameyang, without his 2 goals, we wouldn't have actually won that game, definitely. True. And he has a good fight in him, and I really wanted him to get that golden boot. I saw Jamie Vardy got it, but maybe it will give him more fire, because at the end of the day, he's a professional and he is a person who likes his goals. So maybe he's going to speak to the gaffer and say, hey, listen.
He's on top of his game with our worst season. Remember, this is probably our worst season in record, if we had to really break it down in Premier League. We come 8th, but we still got an FA Cup final, and our striker is 2nd top goal scorer, So he's still world class, I feel, and he's showing it. It's just that I think now is the time that we need to have him supported more than ever. And it looked like today the right and the left were working well. It was just silly mistakes. Even the 2nd goal, silly mistakes. Kolasinac, that Saw guy was really good today. I think, hey, if we could ever get that guy, he is fire, bruh. Even with Tyranny, was hard to mark.
I think, Saul has actually extended his contract terms with Watford, so that's going to be really interesting. He is probably their biggest prize asset at the moment.
He's quality,
but it was a very good open game, and that's the nice thing. I feel when the game's open, there's a lot more excitement that is going to happen in the game. That's where you find out the quality of your players.
But it
as
was
well.
nervy towards
Yes.
the end. It was very nervy. Like I thought the third, especially that Torreira tackle at the end. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
But we
Why
get
did
used to it, and it's a mindset of us because we know there is the way the Arsenal team plays now. You can be 2 goals up. We have to always find that third goal to give
Yeah.
us, for us to know
And
that we're
today
going to
was
win the
maybe
game.
4 or 5 just to make sure.
Yeah,
So,
very tricky, very trickish. Yes.
so
What do you think of the referee? Because I always felt, and this might be a biased opinion, but I always,
I don't like Mike
the
Dean.
first call for the penalty, um, it took too long for them to make the call because
Yeah.
it's either the penalty was going to be given or not. But then, did you see how they went into looking if Ube was actually offside
Yeah.
and so on? I don't know. I think VAR hasn't worked into our advantage. There's only probably one good game where I think it was the United game. Remember when they had to reverse
Yes.
the offside?
Yes.
Yes, that was like to me. That was the only time
Yeah, we've
VAR
actually been
actually worked in
more
our favor.
unfortunate through VAR than fortunate. And I was surprised you got those penalties. To be fair, it wasn't a penalty to me, in my eyes. It was, you could say it was a penalty, but it's just like, you know, when I didn't have that gut feel like that's a penalty. I was just like, ish, it's a bit unlucky, you know?
No,
But we were fortunate to be
I
given, but
felt,
it's silly,
yeah,
man.
that was weird because I felt the fact that it was taking longer, maybe they're finding a reason not to give the penalty.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
But
it
now they
came
want,
across to me.
hopefully with the FIFA controlling VAR, it becomes a lot better, you know, and not the Premier League itself. So it becomes governed by one institute, so it's applied consistently across. Because at the end of the day, the World Cup is pretty much where the best referees are. And there's hardly any times where you like that referee was really bad in a World Cup or in a FIFA tournament, you know. They make, look, there's gonna be times where decisions are bad, but in Premier League and even Wenger, a lot of refs, a lot of managers come out and say, but they can't be frank about it, you know, to be like these referees are terrible in England. So hopefully when VAR takes over by FIFA, it gets a lot better, a lot more streamlined. But to me, I don't like the referee. Personally, I don't like him. He's very weird, man. Like there's fouls, there's like a yellow card he'll give somebody against us, for us, but the same foul against us, they don't get a yellow card. You know, the guy like blatantly like tripped Pepe like how many times, bro? And like just gets one yellow card, you know, no talking to. So I don't know if people don't like us or what's the story. These are like, you know, go ref hard
And
on these
you know,
dudes.
Kishan, that's so true. And we don't realize what effect that actually has on the game. Because then the players build up on their frustration. You can see how Granit got very frustrated and he swore at the ref as well.
Yeah.
And that's how Granit got his yellow card from
Because he
that.
knows that
I mean,
guy.
it builds up on the frustration.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but it's nice. That's why I think Granit probably the reason why he was always considered as a captain material is because he has that fight.
Yeah, he does.
There was I did watch this post on one of another cast, and did you know that Granit actually has season tickets?
Oh, to the Arsenal
There's
game.
times where he actually sits amongst the fans,
Wow.
and yeah, so he is very very into the club, and he is supposed to be our sergeant, our general in that midfield.
Oh,
Fair enough, he does
Vieira. You're
put
supposed
those
to be that
tackles.
guy. You know, Vieira.
Yes,
kind of.
Vieira.
But
Yes.
yeah, but now it's done and dusted. It's been a crazy season. But surprisingly, it's not over for us. We still got FA Cup. How are you feeling about next week? Are you excited? Are you nervous? You know?
I'm excited. It's always cup finals can go anyway. But you know, when we have our games at Wembley, Wembley is always our second home.
That's our
So
home. I was
definitely it's
about
going
to
to
say that. Yeah, it is our home.
So definitely it's going to be an interesting one.
Is
I
this
think the
payback
guys
for
want to end
Baku?
off definitely, and this Chelsea team is beatable. I felt even in Baku they were beatable, but I feel we might just have the edge over them now. Definitely. I don't know about playing David Luiz, because he might be a double agent in the game, but otherwise, I feel we will take the win.
Yeah, we have to. We have to.
Can't be giving penalties in finals. Hey, Kish.
Yeah. Yeah, no penalty. I just wanted it to be done in 90 minutes, get like 3 goals. Hopefully we get the trophy. We need a trophy, man. We just need a trophy. It's been a really sad season. And I think that would really, it will just lift the spirits. And it will also make Arteta feel like good again. But what's nice about it is 2 rookie managers going back to their teams, you know, fighting in an FA Cup final, like the oldest trophy in England. So it's kind of like, it also has a bit of, you know, like kind of coolness to it. You know, it's not just a normal FA Cup.
You know, it's crazy. You can't write and script these things, eh? You also right with Lampard and Chelsea and Arteta with Arsenal. Yes, and they both debut seasons with the clubs as well.
Exactly, you know, and I think he's less experienced, Arteta, as opposed to Lampard. But Lampard, I feel, is an erratic guy, whereas, and that's their team. Chelsea's erratic, but Arteta's so calm, composed. You know, even when people ask him the same question, he gives them the same answer. Doesn't change his answer. He's chill, and I think he's bringing that kind of. That's what we used to be. We were a calm, composed team. Because the one time they used to say was, we didn't need a way of playing football. We never needed a tactic to go to a team. We just go and play the Arsenal way, and we beat anybody. And you know what I mean? And I think that composure, knowing that our team can go out, I think he's bringing that back. And, you know, it's going to be a good fight. You know, always like the fights against Chelsea.
100%.
You know?
Just the same reference, like what you're talking about. When Granit got upset and he said something to the ref, did you see that the team went to Granit? Did you see Lacazette telling Granit?
Lacazette's like, just calm down.
Don't lose your cool. Yeah. Calm down now. Don't worry about it. That's the call. Just carry on. And that's nice to see. Because like I said, that's the culture. That's the mindset going into our players now. Previously, the players used to also get upset during Granit on the rant. And before you know it, we got pressure coming from the ref and coming from the opposition team. Yes.
Yeah. And I think they're more confident in their ability. So I think maybe Arteta's spoken to them that we get these unlucky decisions, but don't let it dishearten you. Just keep going, keep fighting. We can get goals. The one thing with us is if Aubameyang has a chance, if Lacazette has a chance, and if Pepe has a chance, it's a goal. You know what I mean? It's very rarely that it's not, but it could be a goal. So he's like, look, guys, take the cards, take the bullshit calls. Let's just go out there and show these guys that we can do it. And I think slowly but surely we're getting there. And, you know, it's just it's nice to at least end of the season with progress instead of like, you know, where you're like, man, you know, like last season was also a nerve ender. I think this season, it just sums up everything this last game. But yeah, man, it's done. We can get a trophy at least.
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to that day, Kishan. Yeah. Definitely, my brother.
But thanks, Raoul. Once again, you know, I really appreciate it all the way from Durban, giving us your views. You know, maybe we catch you in the FA Cup final, man, at Wembley. As you said, our home away from home. Okay, keep well and take it easy. Gooner Cast SA, we are.
Shot, Kishan. Brother.